Welcome, everybody, to the April 15th, 2025 Police Commission meeting. I call this meeting to order. We're going to begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd ask everyone to stand while we do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a full audience here today. It's always a pleasure to see a lot of people in the audience, and there's a good reason for that. And that is in part because we get to celebrate tonight the police chief's 30 years of service. So, Chief, we're so thrilled to celebrate you tonight. And so with regard to that, I'd take a motion to suspend the agenda so we can talk about Chief Newport.
I make a motion we suspend the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, Chief, I just want to say congratulations on these 30 years of service. You truly epitomize civic service and loyalty. In terms of your career, it's what the role model of what everyone and every officer should strive for. You started as a patrol officer, made your way up through detectives. You did drug task force work. You became a lieutenant, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and here you are sitting before us, Chief. 30 years with Portsmouth Police Department. It is just a remarkable thing, and it's a reflection of your work, hard work, your dedication, and your loyalty to our community. You have received so many accomplishments, but some include 2 U.S. Congressional Medal Awards, 2 New Hampshire Congressional Awards. You graduated from the FBI Academy during our time here together, and that's a pretty big accomplishment, big feat. And so we just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your service, your dedication, and for being a wonderful role model for not just for the police department, but also for our community. We are really so fortunate to have you in Portsmouth, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Any words?
Thank you. It's been a good run. Looking back at it, the 30 years has gone by really fast. I was reminded today, I wasn't feeling old until Sergeant Hood over there told me that I've been here longer than 30% of our police force. Before they were born. So
Is he going to be disciplined a little later?
Right. Could we have everyone raise their hand?
under 30. That's the majority of our patrol division right now. So, but with that said, when I first got here, I was like, if you looked at 30 years, I'm like, oh, that's forever. Who's going to last that long? But now that I've been here, it's been a good ride. I still enjoy coming to work every day. The officers that are here, and the women and men that represent the police department, our professional staff, really make my job easy. So overseeing the department really is on the backbone of the work that they do, and we have a good force. We have a good community. We have a very supportive community. So I love coming to work every day, and it makes my job fun. So hopefully I got a lot more years left in.
Another 30?
No.
Well, thank you, Chief. All right. Well, with that, we'll move into to the swearing-in ceremony. So.
Thanks everybody for coming. We're going to swear in our newest officer. I should have brought my own grab. Took 29 years before I knew these guys. So a little background on Scott. He began his career with the Portsmouth Police Department yesterday, April 14th. He's a New Hampshire native. Scott was born in Exeter, New Hampshire, and currently resides here in Portsmouth. He's a certified New Hampshire police officer, having graduated from the 185th Full-Time Police Academy. I won't age myself out, I was in the 106. Prior to joining our department, Officer Sells served with the Somersworth Police Department, where he held several responsibilities, including the role of school resource officer. I know as a school resource officer, he was well liked over there. I saw videos on Facebook where some of the past students were sorry to see him leave Somersworth. So, although it's a big loss to Somersworth, it's a great gain to Portsmouth. Looking forward to having you here as part of our team, and look forward to the contributions he will make in serving our community. Welcome aboard, Officer South. Thank you. And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Scott South,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all duties incumbent on me
discharge and perform all duties incumbent on me
as a police officer,
as a police officer,
constable,
constable,
and night watchman of said city of Portsmouth,
and night watchman of said city of Portsmouth,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
according to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
and laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and the rules and regulations of the city of Portsmouth.
and the rules and regulations of the city of Portsmouth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You don't have to repeat after me. By virtue of authority vested in me through the Police Commission and RSA 105-C, trusting in your integrity and fidelity, do hereby constitute and appoint you a police officer, constable, and night watchman of said city of Portsmouth, with all the power and authority and subject to all the duties and liabilities provided by law. Congratulations. Good. Yeah. It'll stick by the, we'll clip it in if you can't get it. Let's get a picture. Thank you guys for coming. You're more than welcome to stay, but at this point, if you want to leave, it's a good opportunity to escape while you can. Stand for Brooke.
All right, now we're going to move on to the social worker update. Brooke, would you like to come up? Thanks.
Well, thank you for having me back. I'm excited.
Turn the mic around to you, Brooke. There you go.
I just thought I was loud enough. Usually I am.
I can hear you on TV.
I apologize. I can't remember when I did the update last. I know I was about, I think, 3 to 4 months into my position at that time. So April 1st was 1 full year. I hope to say that I think it's been going very well. And I do think that the program and the services have been efficient to the community and the clients I see. The services have still remained, as I talked about last time, which was follow-up case management services. So we're still not practicing any type of co-response going out on the scene, but instead individuals being referred to me most typically now through law enforcement. So when it first started, I had mentioned to you guys that I would go through the logs and really identify factors relating to social service needs, and the majority of clients were through my own identification. Probably about 6 to maybe 8 months in, it was kind of being half and half referred from law enforcement or myself doing a self-referral. And the past few months, almost all the referrals have actually come from the law enforcement side, which is really what is preferred, is that the individuals going out and meeting with the clients are identifying those needs, and hopefully does show a buy-in from patrol in the law enforcement aspect. So when I met with you guys last time, I know I did talk about the average rate of acceptance by clients. So the social work and law enforcement progress project average about 60% of clients that the social worker makes contact with accept services. We're actually doing really good right now. So the individuals I make contact with, about 85% actually accept services from me as a social worker. So that's going really well on that end. 8% decline services, and the rest of them, I would say decline, but it's because they already had services in place, so they didn't need anything additional. The one statistic that's a little hard is there is a small amount that there's a barrier to making contact with. So it may be because they're unhoused, they don't have reliable communication, maybe they left and didn't have any type of contact information provided. It is a small number. It's hard to track because some months I'll get a referral and not be able to make contact, but then that individual contacts me the next month and accepts services, possibly declines. So that's why I don't really have a good number there. The services still remain really flexible to the client's needs. I have some people that I do daily check-ins with. I have some people who I meet with once a week, a few times a week. Some individuals I do most of the work from my desk, working with collaterals, family members, service providers. So really it does all depend on what the client's needs are, what they accepted the services for. For the most part, my referrals I receive or identify, I actually receive a lot for elderly needs. Unhoused and mental health would be the top 3. One of the biggest parts of the social work position is providing service referrals for these clients, because as we talked about, my job is not to duplicate services. So if there's something that's already existing, my job is to find that service for that client and connect them with it and kind of stay with them until we have a nice smooth transition handoff to that service. So out of the service referrals I make for clients, about 25% are related to elderly needs. So that is really our highest need right now that I'm noticing within the community. After that, it was housing. So I think about 16% of the referrals I make are for housing. And then the third was tied between mental health and legal services. So a lot of clients who need connection to legal aid. That is a lengthy process. So the other thing is not just connecting people to services, but helping them with all the steps in the way. So for example, legal aid, they need to get their driving record, they need to get their criminal background, a lot of different things. So helping them all within that process. Same thing for housing applications, connecting the welfare. It's not as simple as saying call this office or handing them an application. It's doing that application with them and helping them collect all that documentation that a lot of people don't have or have no idea how to even access that. So with that is really still been maintaining strong connections with the community and strong community partners. And there's a few different groups to belong with. So I'm part of the Seacoast Community Care Team. Recently, I was asked to join the state's Wellness and Prevention Council. So I was a government appointed council that I just recently joined last month. I do work partly with the Youth Coalition, that's more new. So staying really partnered with the community, which is really helpful for my clients when I already have those contacts and connections. We do have a little bit of a new initiative that I'm working on. It's really brand new. We're trying to create an outreach team that can assist patrol when they're going out to housing encampments or serving trespass notices to unhoused. So that would really be focused more on substance abuse treatment. So right now I'm partnering with Safe Harbor, Gatehouse Recovery, and Live Free Recovery Services. And what the hope would be is that it would just be a tool for patrol side to use. So if we have a request to go to encampment, or if they're noticing maybe a problematic area, we can have a social work outreach team go with them. So it's not just serving trespass notices, which we know people are just going to move from one place to another, but if there are individuals there who are actively engaged in substance abuse, regardless of where they are in their level of use or recovery, we would have a team that can assist them in those services. So that's something that's very new. We're working on that now. I have a meeting with those individuals, and we might bring in some other treatment centers, but right now we're going to start with that small team to get that working. And if you guys want any type of case examples, I'm happy to provide any.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
What's, I'm hearing that you have a significant encounters with those who are unhoused. What's your office's relationship? What's your relationship with the people at Crossroads? I know that there's probably some overlap there.
Yes, there is. So lately I'm actually working more closely with the case managers. So I actually recently had a meeting with the case managers, and Crossroads actually just had a new position where they have a social worker that works on the wait list. So her and I have connected, and we're working on a release for the clients because a lot of my clients are on the wait list. So it's easy for me to be able to connect with her, see where they're on the wait list, what they can do, or if there's any reason why they're going to be declined services through Crossroads or shelter through there. So we have, I do work fairly closely. The difficulty is their availability. So sometimes I am looking at shelters outside of our county as options, which, it's really about the client's needs.
Thank you.
Of course.
So, do you have any questions?
I'm just amazed at everything that you're doing. Thank you. It's wonderful.
Well, I appreciate it. I consider myself extremely lucky to be the social worker for Portsmouth Police Department. I've said many times, my last job, I covered all of Rockingham County, and I think if this position existed some places, I may not have been of interest, but I think the success of the program services really is a reflection of the support that I have within the department.
Wow, the impact is just phenomenal.
Thank you.
So I think it would be helpful, I think we probably have a better handle on sort of the process that you go through and sort of an examples of what your work is, because you're sort of acting as a liaison between a community member and access to existing resources. So could you just give us an example of something, like you have an elderly, the individual community member who has some needs. First, does that usually generate from a call for service?
Yes, so anyone that I work with does generate for some type of call service, whether they are calling themselves or someone else may be calling on them. One of my current clients who has a lot of elderly needs, she generated originally actually from family members from out of state when they couldn't get in touch with her for a period of time, would call the police department to do a wellness check. So that was actually referred to me from dispatch, because often she would open the window and reject police coming into her home. It was kind of historically that she would kind of quiet down, we'd get calls. So we had a few, and then actually Sergeant Hood and I decided to try to outreach and see if she'd let us make contact with her. And that day when we arrived, she opened the window, said she didn't need anything, but then said, actually my heat's broken. This was February, it was pretty cold, so she allowed us in. Thank God I had Sergeant Hood, because I don't know those heaters, and he realized that the tank was just empty. But that was in February. This is a woman historically known for refusing services, and I'm still working with her to this day. I got Bridge assisting her with getting groceries, getting her medications. We have a few other steps that we have involved. So there's a program called Navigator Seniors Advisement. So what they do is they assist people who are interested in going to assisted living or memory care. They do every step of the process. So when I met this woman, she was married. Her husband has passed since. She does own a home, so they're going to walk her through every step of not only identifying some type of facility, the process through selling her home, the process through cleaning, all of that. So I have her connected through there.
That's great, thank you. I think one thing that if you're, these systems, and there are a lot of resources available, but figuring out how to access them is incredibly challenging. Navigating these systems are complicated between applications and paperwork, and what we can see when you have an 85% of the individuals who you make connection with accept service. It's like this is a huge need in the community. People who need resources, don't know how to access them, and so you're a wonderful bridge and conduit to them receiving services. And by virtue of that, can lend to a reduction in service calls, hopefully.
Yes, I think that is where this type of program service has been really helpful, because one is having the knowledge of the services, but even myself as, I would like to say, an educated, well-functioning adult, they're really difficult, and I have difficulty. A great example would be a client. So My length of time working with clients, it really varies on their needs. Some people just need one quick connection. The client I've probably been working the longest with, I first was introduced to him in December. So right now we're going on about 4 months. So just to give you a little background of him is he came over to Portsmouth Regional Hospital. He was brought by another police department. So his wife had kicked him out of the home, got a protection order. So now he was homeless on the streets of that town. He's also an amputee. He only has one leg and a traumatic brain injury. That police department brought him to Portsmouth Regional Hospital. However, he didn't have a medical episode, so he was discharged. Now he's homeless in Portsmouth, didn't know what to do, so he went back into the hospital, and that's when they called the police department and said, this guy won't leave. Really what he was is he was alone, scared, he had medical issues, and he had housing one day and none the next. So this was not Portsmouth City welfare. It was a different welfare. It was a very, very difficult system to navigate. We couldn't get anyone on the phone. The voicemail box was full. So I sat with him. I did this whole application, worked with him on the documents, and myself drove over to that city welfare and pounded on welfare's door. And luckily, he's actually in shelter in a motel. So he didn't have insurance when I met him. Now he has Medicaid. He wasn't connected to his PCP. Now he's actually has an appointment on May 1st, and he's actually going to be in care of their care manager, which is a social worker there. He has services through Seacoast Mental Health now. I've connected him with Meals on Wheels. We've applied to food stamps. All these things he did not know how to do himself and didn't even know that some of them existed.
Just to follow up on, I've been on the police commission for just about 3.5 years now, and one of the things that keeps convincing me that the Portsmouth Police Department is, arguably the best police department in the state is that it isn't just about how many people can we arrest.
No.
It's a much broader and comprehensive sense of the community and how to best work with the community to move things in a positive direction. And you're just another perfect example of that. So thank you.
Well, I'm very thankful that, the department was receptive of having a social worker and, is receptive to talking about potentials of that program growing maybe someday in the future.
And how what is revealing to us is just how collaborative the process is. Now we have officers working directly, recognizing the need, coming to you with it, and that's just exactly how, what the hope is, right? Rather than you having to find it. Like the officers through your work are getting more educated on recognizing issues, being able to help triage them and get individuals in need of help to the right place. So.
We have very caring officers in our department. It's very evident.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate you. Thank you for the update. We look forward to maybe in another 6 months or in a year's time to see the growth and progress continue. And we see a little bit with the statistics when we get the crime analyst statistics, how there has been some reduction in mental health calls, in part, we believe, because of your impact. And so we thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Thanks, Bart.
And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And now it looks like next on the agenda, we have the acceptance of the minutes from the March 18th meeting.
Make a motion that we accept the meetings from the March 18th, 2025 meeting.
Seconded?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next, we have public comment, and sadly, we can see the room is vacating after we had all this celebratory time. It's now down to business in an empty room. Seeing no public comment, we'll move on to new business, and here we have Police Commission updates. We'll begin with the facilities update. First, the Municipal Building Blue Ribbon Committee. I am sitting on that committee, and unfortunately, I have to report that we've actually not really met much. There's been multiple meetings canceled. Really, it feels disappointing about the delay in work. The rationale behind that, the cancellation, is that we're waiting for the staffing study results to come out. My personal belief is that there's an opportunity to continue to work and make progress, but the decision's been made to cancel a number of meetings, and I think we're next scheduled for May. With respect to that, the staffing study, There is going to be a meeting on April 23rd. That's a week from Wednesday for the community to have community input. And hopefully we'll have the full results from that staffing study in early to mid-May. What I can tell you is that the police department has not grown in 25 years. That's since 1998. The police department has, the staff size has remained unchanged, and we're thrilled to have an independent agency look at our staffing needs. And it's also important to note with respect to this study and the decision to hire the staffing, the consultants, that this was an independent group chosen by the city, and that the police department was completely firewalled with respect to the selection process of who was going to conduct this study. So there can be no assertion that, you know, the police department had any involvement in choosing the group to conduct this study. They were completely firewalled and not part of that decision.
Just to add to that, nor did the police commission have any say in who was hired to do this study. I have to be honest, I'm more than a bit annoyed by the delays in the Blue Ribbon Committee's meeting on a regular basis. The City Council and those who put together the Blue Ribbon Committee knew when it was put together, because we talked to them about it, that the staffing study was not going to be done to May, but they insisted that we needed to go forward with it, that work could be done. So I want everyone to appreciate what the delay is about.
Thank you, Commissioner Scher. And just to summarize, we've had 4 meetings. 2 of those meetings were various site visits, so there's only been 2 substantive meetings of an hour length each, and from the inception of this Blue Ribbon Committee, and the rest of the meetings have been canceled. Thank you for adding that, Commissioner Scher. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Okay. Chief, do you have anything else to share?
Oh, I think you covered that.
Okay. Moving on to the community priorities. Do you want to?
I think we're making all the community priorities were articulated 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, and we've addressed virtually all the community priorities in some fashion. Body cams are on the way. We are hopefully by November, we're going to have a new CAD RMS system that will allow us to collect more robust demographic data. We've paid a lot of attention, as evidenced by the hiring of a social worker and the quality of the work she's been doing, and by the crime statistic or the call-in statistics that our mental health calls have gone way down. We've pretty much paid substantial attention to everything on the list that was created by both the community and the prior police commission 3.5 to 4 years ago.
Thank you, Commissioner Scher. And just more specifically, the body-worn camera rollout is, the demo team will be beginning those shortly. We anticipate by the end of summer that we'll have the entire department using the body-worn cameras. So that's wonderful to see. We also have some new, I know the chief has some new programs for to incentivize recruiting new officers. We're thrilled for those programs because so that we can recruit the best and brightest to our force. In addition, Chief, do you want to talk a little bit about hiring for dispatchers? And
Yes, so the last few years, we've been unable to fulfill our allotment of dispatchers and police officers, but dispatchers has really been a problem. And we're fortunate we're at a point now where we currently have 7 out of the 10 dispatchers, and we have conditional officers and peoples in background to fill all of our positions in dispatch for the first time in a long time. So we're hoping that we continue on that path and it all pans out. And like I said, for at least the last 3 years, we have not been fully staffed in dispatch. So then we can really, once we have that filled, we can put all our attention on the police officers, where we're also making progress. We're down 5 police officers now, but we have 3 conditional offers out there, and then we have another process that will be going forward another 2 weeks, and hopefully we can have all those positions filled as well.
That's great. Thank you, Chief. Anything else for community priorities or under the Police Commission agenda? Okay. With that, Chief, we'll turn it over to you. We have some donations.
We have a check for $30 from Miss Gail Frangillo for the Portsmouth Police Explorers Post. I need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion that we accept the check, the $30 check for the Portsmouth Police Explorers.
And forward that to
Second.
the City Council
Oh, forward to the City Council, yes.
for their action.
Please.
Second.
As amended, great. On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
We have a second check for $250 from Gino's Chowder and Sandwich Shop for the Portsmouth Explorer Post 2609, and I need a motion to accept that.
I move to accept the $250 check from Gino's Chowder and Sandwich Shop for the Portsmouth Police Explorers Post number 2609 and forward that to the City Council for their action. I'd also note that one of our fellow police commissioner is the owner of Gino's Chowder Shop, and it's great to be able to say that.
I will second the motion. Discussion. I'll just say thank you for all the Explorer program is a wonderful program, and we appreciate the community support for that. On the motion, Commissioner Schur,
Aye.
Commissioner Fernald,
I need to abstain.
and I vote yes.
All right. Next, we're going to go to the crime analyst report. Deputy Maloney couldn't be with us today, so I'm going to take over his role, reading out the numbers. We'll start with the number of calls for service, and this is, January 1st to March 31st in 2025, we've had 8,773 calls. If you look back over our last 3 years, from 2022 to 2024, in that same time frame, we were getting 10,764 calls for a reduced percentage of 18.5%, which is pretty significant. I'd like to say that is there mainly because of the staffing issues we've had and the self-initiated activity and proactive work that our officers do. We're still doing, but not at the same numbers, just because we don't have as many personnel out on the streets as we did back then. Our number of arrests in that same period of time in 2025 was at 205. On the 3-year average was 232, so that's down 11.6%. Our DWI arrests for 2025 are at 21. The average previously was 25. That's down 14.9%. The number of reports taken is 530. Previously was 606, so that's down 12.5%. The number of reportable motor vehicle accidents in January of this year to March 31st, 2025 was 107. Previously, it was at 113, so that's a good reduction of 5.3%. Our number of motor vehicle stops, again, for 2025 is 1,595. Previously, it was 2,103 for a reduction of 24.2%. The number for IEAs in 2025 is at 20. The previous average was 14, so we've seen an increase in, and our RIEs are involuntary admission usually for mental health issues, so we've had an uptick in the last 3 months on mental health calls for an increase of 42.9%. And then our juvenile calls in 2025 are down to 28 and previously was at 45, which was a reduction of 37.8%. So that's a great downward trend of us dealing with juvenile matter calls.
Chief, is it fair to say that the 24% decrease in motor vehicle stops is directly related to the ongoing understaffing at the police department?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the traffic stats, from March of 2025, we had 595 motor vehicle stops, 17 summonses, and 35 reportable motor vehicle crashes. And next, we will go to Karen for the financial report.
Okay, excuse me, I'll be quick. We're currently tracking about 3% below the cap, so we're doing fine financially. We'll likely turn back some money this year. The 3% is not reflective of quite a bit of training costs that has happened over the winter. During our slow season, that's when they're trying to do most of the training. So those costs you'll probably see reflected in next month's report. The other thing is we always save certain purchases for the last quarter. Again, we were taught to make sure you have money on hand in case there's an event. So there's things like our ammo, our training ammo, and things like that, that will be purchased in the next quarter, in the next month probably. Let's see. In terms of the FY26 budget, we have upcoming workshops with the City Council. I think the first one's May 12th. And then I also still have to complete the question and answer document I promised after the public comment of last meeting. In terms of the strategic plan, still working on that. I'm trying to finalize some last supplemental information for the matrix study so that they can complete their work. So once I get that off my plate, we'll finish that up. In terms of grants, we were contacted by Representative Pappas's office and Senator Shaheen's office. Again, just stating that even though nothing went forward this budget season, the two requests that we sent in, one for the ICAC and then one for the new police facility for all the IT equipment, they said that they will be submitting them for this coming budget season. So hopefully the projects will get approved and be put forward.
Wonderful. And just a quick note on the, where we are on the budget. The direct, and this is for anyone who hasn't tuned in to previous meetings. The directive was, from the City Council, was to come in with a budget at 2.9% increase. We were higher than that, but the final submission by the police department came in, what exactly was it?
We were at 2.9, that was with 3 delay hires on officers and 1 delay hire on a dispatcher.
So you were able to hit the budget, hit the percent increase as directed by the City Council?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
One question. Are we as of yet seeing any blowback from the DOJ operation at the federal level, which seems to be clawing back grants all over the place?
They don't seem to be touching the Department of Justice grants yet, knock on wood. But our grant managers, whether it's pass through to the state or our direct federal, our grant managers are like on us immediately to get all of our financials in, because I guess they feel that it might not be there if we don't hurry up and get that taken care of, so.
I will point out, I'm sure you know this, I'm a representative in the legislature, and the House just passed a budget, and boy, there were stunning cutbacks on money in that budget. It now has to go to the Senate, but I'm a little concerned that state money that's out there may start drying up also.
Well, the ICAC Forensic Shield that we have is actually budget money from the state of New Hampshire. It's not grant money sent to them. It's through the Department of Justice there, the AG's office. And so Eric Kinsman, Lieutenant Kinsman, has been in touch with the AG's office. They keep telling him it's in our budget, and we know that the governor is very supportive of the ICAC program, so we're hoping.
That said, the wisdom of the Republican majority in the House substantially cut back on the Attorney General's office budget, Department of Justice budget.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yep.
So we're watching that very closely, but Lieutenant Kinsman has been in contact with the Attorney General, and they're full support of ICAC, but, you know, ICAC, that's a critical element, funding for ICAC, so we'll be paying attention to it.
I was going to say, because the federal grant covers the commander, covers a .8 detective, covers the conferences they're required to go to, covers some overtime for investigations, but the money from the state is primarily used for all of our affiliate agencies who do the boots-on-the-ground investigations. And so if that money dissipates, I did talk to Lieutenant Kinsman. I was like, okay, what's Plan B? So he and I are going to talk about that, and in reference to putting together a chart that could possibly be submitted in reference to exactly what that money pays for and what would happen if
We lost that funding.
we lost that funding.
Great.
So, and it also handles all the equipment and everything for the lab in Manchester. It covers all the equipment and the training for all the affiliate agencies. So it's substantial what it accomplishes.
I'll keep paying attention at the state level.
It would have a direct impact on the capabilities of ICAC and the outreach that they do.
And Lieutenant Kinsman just mentioned today the cyber tips, because that's where they get a lot of their investigations from, is just exploding. I mean, it's just exploding. So if you cut that money, all those investigations of all those children goes away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For that update. All right, anything else, Karen?
Nope, good.
Okay. With that, we have in our packets updates on the Patrol Division report as well as a court office report. Does anybody have any other new business, old business, anything? All right, I think that wraps up our meeting for tonight. Our next regular meeting is May 20th, Tuesday, but always check the municipal meeting calendar on the city's website because sometimes that's subject to change. Chief, congratulations to you again.
We'll get you an honorary cane at some point.
They use a rocking chair.
Rocking chair. At least plenty of cheaters. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.